is now already Tuesday, and today's daf is daf memches, and we're learning the machlekes Rabbi Yochanan and Shlokish. If Moses is kind of ma'atayda, that means the ma'atayda, as soon as you gave money, becomes yours. The rabbanon, however, to protect the lekeach and to protect the meichel, they're both being protected over here. That we don't want that the stock sitting by the meichel should get lost or something because it doesn't belong to meichel. So we say meichel, it's still yours, and also the meichel might be interested in his benefit as well. How is it his benefit? As Rashi explained, the value might go up, and he wants to change his mind. You know what? I'm going to sell to somebody else or try pay me extra because it's worth more today. Omar Rabba says, Rabba, Crow must need to say Rish Lakish. I think that Rish Lakish is right, and I'll support Rish Lakish, even though the halacha is like Rabbi Yochanan, is most of Shayim learn, but the Rabba comes out straight to support Rish Lakish. Very interesting. You see, it says in Pasig, we learned this a number of times in Baba Kama, the Chichish Ba Misai, you swear false, and you say you deny to your friend the pekadon. The friend said, I gave you pekadon. I gave you pekadon. You said, no, that's you talking. And he swore false, and then turned out that he made it that he swore false. That's when he pay all these extra things. Oy b'tzumas yad, or by a loan. Oy begezel, or he stole it. Oy eish oshek is amisa, or he didn't pay wages. He said, I did. And then turned out he swore. So that what? In each one of these cases, you have to swear. Now, let's go through analyze each case, what exactly it is. Tzumas yad is a loan. And if it's a loan, if you swore false, if there's nothing there tangible, I had a right to use the money. You don't have to pay them this extra. When you pay the extra, there's a rate like a payment. In other words, you gave a mashkin, you put down a security, and I deny I ever gave a security. Now, if I did give you security, then security says if I paid you. We're arguing about an object that's in existence. We cannot be talking about I swore false about the money you gave me, because the money you gave me I had a right to use. It's no longer, what are we arguing about? Something not tangible. You don't have to pay this extra osham and all that. So therefore, the sumas yad has to be talking about something where there's a pekadon or something out there. Rabbi Yochanan said, talking about a case here where you set aside a keli and you say, look, this is like a pekadon, and this is what I'm going to pay you with. And now that I swear that I don't owe you, that means that we're arguing about this keli. So this keli that I set aside for you, it's mine. I never set aside for you, and therefore there's if it turned out to be I lied, I swore false. I pay all these extras. Hey, Sheikh, what's the case of the same wages? It's just a debt. He said aside, look, guys, work for me. You don't trust me here. I'm putting this aside. You're going to get paid from this, and then he denies they ever owe them any money. Again, we're arguing about something tangible, something real. So then you have the din that pay for pekadon and all that. If the Gemara says now, says Rava b'chiyahadrikra, then the next psukim tells you what happens if it turned out to be that he swore false. So then the Torah says he has to pay up. What does he pay? He has to pay a carbon asham and a chamishas. It says ksiba kiyechte ba'asham. It turned out to be that he sinned and he lied. The heishiv is akzela shagazli. You were saying oh, you say eishik or the wages. Oh, yes, a pekadon or the pekadon. Why is it mentioned again about the loan? Why is it mentioned also in the loan you got to pay? My time and lab mishum away. Even though I set aside the pekadon, but because I never gave it to you, it never became yours. So I'm still talking. I'm not denying anything. What I denied was something that was mine, but never yours. And the money that you lent me is not his, and I had a right to use it. I had a right to use it. So therefore, there's no klar that Mashiach is the only kinyan. Klar. And since if Rabbi Yochanan is kind of Mahatayda, who cares that Rabbanan came and changed it? But Mahatayda is kind of so Mahatayda you should be very swear false. You have to use it. That popular other aim. You know why it says repeat it? Because what's the chilik wages or a loan? Wages is just like a debt. It's a debt. I owe money. So by once we know by you're talking about you have a pekadon on the side, the principle is the same. So the Taylor doesn't have to then repeat about a loan. No raya. Moshe said, no, Oish is talking about you know what you're talking about? You actually paid it to them, the object, and they said, you know what, you take it back, we'll leave it to you by pekadon, you give it to us when we finish the job, because we're out in the fields, we have nowhere to keep it, nowhere to mind it. So we'll give it back to you, you hold it, and you give it back to us. So the case of Eish is very different than Halva. By Halva, the Tater should, if is that by Halva, I'm holding on to the pekadon. And if the din is that Moshe Kain, which means the pekadon belongs right to the Malva, right? So then the Taylor should have said, and here you have to swear, if you swore false, everything else being carbon asham. Why doesn't Taylor repeat it? It's very different in the case of the wages where he had an object there, from here you can get paid, and he gave it to them, and they gave it back to him as a pekadon. So the Gemara, no high pekadon, your case, so how does it pekadon? If he paid it already to the employees, and they just asked him to do us a favor, mind it for us, that is a regular case of pekadon, and they already told you about pekadon. So what's the two cases of pekadon and holding back wages? Was that today? God in the pekadon. Today,
Rabbi Shmurley.
Today, God. Today, Gavne Pekodin. There are two kinds of Pekodin. Rabbi Schmerling. There are two kinds of Pekodin. If so, by alone as well. So it'd be the same thing. Maybe the Torah is talking about a case where it's exactly the same case of Pekodin, which is you already gave them the object and he gave it back to you to mind for him. But maybe in a case we didn't give them the object, we don't know what the Torah would say. So the Gemara says, Rabbi answers back. If the Torah would have repeated, we wouldn't have no raya one way or another. You're right. But now that the Torah is in the footage did not say it, the Torah repeated, must be a reason for it. And that reason is to teach you that locha like shlokish. And that is that it's talking about it, that Mashiach is kaina and Messiah, and it teaches him. And and the reason why it doesn't repeat it by loan is because by loan you don't have to pay the ashram. You know why? Because since there was no Mashiach is the only way you can be kaina. No Mashiach, you don't have to bring carbon ashram. Says the Gemara, the Tumas Yadla had a crop. What do you mean? You tell me the loan of Torah and repeat? It did. But Tanya, Shim said the Braisa. I know that even though the Torah didn't repeat things, everything that applies in the first case is applied in the second cases. The Chesiv, because it says the pasuk, love the shak, or anything that he swore for, or anything, including in the case of the loan, even though the Torah didn't repeat it, you have to read the carbon ashram. To tell you that in the case of the loan, you also have, if you swore false, you have to be in carbon ashram and all that, so it's included. The fact is that Torah, everything else it repeats. The three things out of the four repeats, and Pum Chumas Yad, when it comes to halva, he doesn't repeat it. To teach you by Chumas Yad, there's no carbon ashram, because why? Because the Mashiach is Kainer, and there was no Mashiach there. And when you do swear, it's my case where you brought it back to this person. The Gemara Masnita Minol, that's one place. Masnita Minol, and I have another Braisa. First, I have a posik, and I have a brisa. Which brisa? The Tanya, we learned in a brisa. Let's say the gizber or somebody took a prut of hegdish, and by mistake, me'il is only if you did it b'shagi, right? You steal from hegdish. If you didn't know that it was hegdish, you use it for your own personal use. You're a moil. You're stealing from hegdish. You got carbon ashram, shamilis. So the time you learned nasna lebalon, if you gave this coin of hegdish to the bathhouse person who's in charge of the bathhouse as a payment, mal. Even though you didn't go, as soon as you paid him, even though you didn't take the bath yet, the moment you transfer the money into the hand of the balon, that's already mila. You already stole from hegdish. Rav said, balon, that one is considered mila. Why? Because you paid him. Once you gave him, because once you gave it to him, you can't walk out and say, you know what, I'm not taking the bath. Too late. Once you gave it to the balon, doesn't matter. We don't care if you took a bath or not. Once you paid, you paid. If you don't pay, you pay. Yeah.
I think isn't the same that you're not paying for it?
Because there's no exactly. That's the saying. The core there's nothing here to be mishicha. The moment you gave the money, that's final. That's it. The transaction is over. I don't care if you went to the merchas or not. The transaction is over.
You bought the right to go to the merchas.
Exactly. So I found.
There's no
exactly, and there's no mishicha there. So vice is close to me. But what happens will be something which there is mishicha involved. Then it wouldn't be meal until you did the mishicha. Meila is mahatoida, and yet mahatoida it's not considered meila unless you did mashicha. So what does he claim? Like the shlokish that you're not kind unless you did mashicha. But something else where there's mashicha. Raya to Rish Lakish. Says the Gemara, but Tanya, didn't we learn Nosna Lasapa? If you gave it to a Baba, as soon as you gave it to Baba, Mal, you're Mal. But if there is Mashiach involved, why you got to take the implements? The tools. No, you need the tools. You got to take the scissors. You got to take whatever it is. The Sapar Aboil Mimshich, there's a Mashiach involved over here, Taspailis, to take the tools of the Taspailis. So we see that even though with this Mashiach, the moment you gave the money, it's forget that I said that the money is a transaction, is complete final transaction. Here we're talking about a barber, a goy, the lav bar meshichu, a goy. We can learn more about the zara that he throws. Well, by Yid is one kind of kinyan, by goy is another kinyan. Sami secha.
You're not allowed to go to bed for a haircut.
Oh, that's something else. You're right. Yes, we have that nerve.
It's just an interesting
example
to give.
Yeah, so a goy that you trust. It says in Pasuk by Mashiach, we learn out Miyad Ami. That's right. Or miyad amisecha. It says over there, miyad amisecha, your friends, and they were the only Mashiach by a Yid, not by a Goy. As we learn more b'chedus there. More time nabahachi we talk. So this is another raya to Reish Lakish. Time over you learn Nasl l'saper l'chol balumnis loymol ad the Moshe. It's clearly you're not loyal until the Mashiach. Kashin hadod is a kashin. El lashmamno kam b'sapanoch kam b'abisol. When it comes to Yiddish Barber, where it comes to a Goyish Barber, there's no Mashiach at all. So, sorry, when it comes to a Goyish Barber, there's no Mashiach at all. Therefore. Exactly. It comes to Yiddish Barber because there's Mashiach and there are implements that has to be used, and it's not a kinyan until you pull. Yeah. Vice is that the Yiddish, the person sitting there, also has to pull some instruments, do some things there. He has to do Mashiach. He gave them money, and and now he has to do Mashiach. He has to. Could be that. It could be that's a tool. Yeah. Nachman said. Interesting, said the Chaim. It's like we skipped this whole Gemara we just had, we're proving like the halacha is Lakish, and we jump back to Rabbi Yechon. And very interesting. Rashi says, halacha between Rabbi Yechon and Lakish, Rabbanon, the Raisa. What's the chiluk? So Rashi, you know the chiluk is what happens if you gave money? What happens if you gave money and you didn't do Mashiach, and then you take that money? Sorry, and you take it and you give it to a woman for kedushin. Now, it's a big machlek zachronim how to understand Rashi. So some learn Rashi like this: the moicher received the money. Mahatoida, if you hold like Rabbi Yechon, moe is kindness. So mahatoida, who owns the money now? The moicher. So if he gave it to a woman for kedushin, mahatoida she's mekudesh. Midrabanan, she's not mekudesh because the money is not a kinyan yet until he does mashiach. But mahatoida was a kinyan. So if he gave it to a woman, she's mekudesh. But according to Reish Lakish, since Matayim Moish is not kind, the Moish had absolutely no right to give it to a woman, and nothing happened. Others have a problem with that because the Chacham Hefke better than Hefke. So even though Matayim Moish is kindness, once the Chacham step in and say that the money is Hefke, it's not yours until he does a Mashiach, he shouldn't be even Matayim. It's not kedushin. So others say he's talking about the Lakeach. The Lakeach took the object, which in other words, this object, which he did not make Mashiach yet. He says to a woman, you know that object is sitting in Yankel's house? It's yours. You do this in my Mishlosh, it's yours. And I want to be Kurdish. But he didn't do Mashiach yet. And that's the Machlekes. According to Rabbi Yechon, Mois, Kain's Mataida, so really Mataida belongs to the Lekeach already. He gave it as Kedusha, he's Mekudesh. According to the Shlokish, that you're not Kain until he's a Mashiach, he's not Mekudesh. That's enough community in the two. Talking about Ubotka Levi b'masnid. Now Levi finds a brisa. And I remember Levi is an author of the brises. You know, you have Aisha, and have Levi. Levi is an author of brisa. He found the brisa and he learned it to support Rabbi Yechanan. What's the story? The Ashkri found the following. What happens? Nosna l'sitan. Again, he took money from Hegdish, and by mistake he gave it to a sitan. A sitan was a large wholesaler, and then there's the actual store owners. Now, interesting how Rashi describes the store owners as poor people. If you look at Rashi says it, Sitten is Chenveni Godel. Yeah. Paid is Harbe Lechenveni Anian. If you only have one store, it's not only. If you have a whole chain store, you're sure you have a big wholesale. Yeah. Anyway, but the problem is that these poor people, they couldn't afford to pay the whole money in one time. They pay step by step. Yeah, they pay a little bit at a time. You know, as the money comes in, they pay it off. Yeah. And the question is, if they only pay a little bit at a time, when do the goods belong to the chenveni? The chenveni, you know, ani. Does it? As soon as you pay those deposits, that's what we're seeing them on right now. If you give a down payment, the shad is the whole thing belongs to you already. But I have the rest of the shahs and milled on him. Or do we say no? Actually, it's a big machlek. It's thousands of men. How we understand this whole idea? If you give one pruta for things, how do we interpret that? Is that kinyan mois or is that beginning of a payment? But generally, when you give $10 and then we finalize a deal, is that $10 kinyan kesef, or that $10 part of the payment? I owe you 1,000, I'm giving you 10, and I owe you $990. And it's still is parayin, or is this a kinyan? Big machlekes. Anyway, so what happened here was Nosnal Sitan, and you gave the moment you gave the money to the Sitan mall, you were moil. You didn't do Mashiach yet. You didn't do Mashiach all the payers. You only took bit by bit. You know, when you make a deal with him, I'm going to buy 100 bushels of something. I only can give you now. I can only pay you now for 2 bushels. I'm paying 2 bushels. So the rest of the bushels, he did not make a Mashiach yet at all. He didn't make a Mashiach. Yeah. is mal his moil. What does he from here clearly? Because he gave them money, even though he didn't make a meshicha, it's already considered mila. Arayah to Rabbi Yechon that mois is kindness. And we'll talk about later about part money regarding the whole amount, regarding the whole lot. Elakashil Rish Lakish. I'm not Rish Lakish. Haman of Shimon. I told you before. Rab Shimon clearly holds mois is kindness. Also, the Bryce of Shimon. Interesting machlekes. What do you mean this mishapara? Abai Amar, I do medina. We notify you. You should know that there's the Abish to the belt that who was gonna. Yeah. Rava says, mail it like tinlays. That's time we tell them. We give you a curse. This is a curse. And therefore, the more layers you add on, the stronger the curse. We don't curse people. We don't curse people at all. So not only a nasi, but we don't curse everybody. And Rava says, mail it like tinlay. We do curse. The chsiva says, only only if he behaves like a mensch. Wow. What did this guy do already? He's not a Rosh or anything else. He's Sachak. What he wants to do is he wants to change his mind. And we're calling him, we're saying you're exactly. Now the big machlek according to Rabbi Yechanan, in Rabbi Yechanan he holds Moses kindness ma'atoida. If you gave money for it, there's a big machlek because we said before dvorim is no mishapara, but that's only maybe in Reish Lakish. But according to Rabbi Yechanan, Moses kindness ma'atoida, so ma'atoida, if you don't give, if you okay. Bottom line is, we'll go another time. We're saying that Oisa Maisa Amcha is not only you're keeping Tay the mitzvahs, but if you gave money and you don't follow through, you're no longer Oisa Maisa Amcha. So it's a whole definition of Maisa Amcha. Bai obviously doesn't agree with him. He said it's not considered Maisa Amcha. Maisa Amcha is Tayag mitzvahs. So Amar Rabbi Rabbi, how do I know that? Yosef once gave money to buy salt, and then he once changed his mind because the Seif Ayak Milcha became very expensive. No, sorry. They gave him money to sell, and then he went up price. He decided he wants to change his mind and sell it again because he can make much more money. Also, Zil Hablu, he took his money. You got to give it to him. If not, if not, you should be makabel mishapara. Now, the Amr tell him Rabbi Yosef didn't know. What are you telling him? He doesn't know the din of mishapara. He learned this Mishnah. He knows the din of mishapara. What are you telling him for? But if you give him a curse, only a bezin give a curse, and therefore it makes sense. Elamai may like curse him. Rabbi Yosef also kabula latushta the rabbanon. Rabbi Yosef is going to be cursed by the rabbanon. Rabbi Yosef, what happened was it has nothing to do with our case here. Rabbi Yosef arav the yavalei. Rabbi Yosef gave him only a certain part. So the question is, when you give a down payment, when he only received, let's say, it was $100 worth of salt, the guy gave him $10. How much of the salt now belongs to the buyer? Do we say that only $10 worth of salt because that's what he gave money for, or do we say no? That when he gave you $10, really the whole thing he owns it now, but he owes you a chayv of $90. He thought that the guy is only kind of connected, and he was not going to change his mind about the connected. He wanted to change his mind about the excess over and above that. Says no. You Yosef holds maybe that one only connected the Arab. I hold once you give a down payment, the entire thing belongs to you. It belongs to that person, and therefore you cannot change your mind at all. In fact, we're going to have a machlek now. Itma we learn. Ravan, when it comes, let's say, to this kind of a pledge against a loan, Rav says that he's kind of only whatever the value is of that of the mashkin. And Rabbi Yechon says keneged kula hekayna. Rabbi Yechon says you kind of against the whole thing. So what happened is we're not talking about a down payment now. We're talking about now a mashkin. You gave a mashkin. Let's say that what's what happened? I want to buy something from you. I'm not giving you a down payment. I'm putting down a pledge that I'm not going to change my mind. And I gave you a pledge that's worth a certain amount of money. And I'm not going to change my mind. And if I change my mind, you can keep it. So it goes like this. So one opinion says that you cannot change his mind at all. The pledge might be worth, let's say the Kenyan is worth $100. The thing I put down here on the side as a guarantee is worth $50. So all I guaranteed was $50 of it. But the other 50 I can change my mind on. Or we say no, even though this item that I put over here as a guarantee was for $50, but it's a guarantee for the wholesale, and if I cannot change my mind at all. Mesa will ask you a question. Somebody giving a Rav a mashkin his friend. If I change my mind on this following deal, keep it. And if I change my mind, I'll pay you double. This kind of that's it. that they both have to keep abide by the promise. Why? Rabbi Yossi Tamei, Rabbi Yossi considers you the Amar Asmachta Kanya. Rabbi Yossi says that even though it's a wild, it's a Goshen Guzma, you don't really mean it. What you said, it's
in terms of the sale.
Yeah, and we had it a few times before. Yep, and so on. Says the Gemara. Rabbi Yehuda says, Rabbi Yehuda says, the only part that you cannot change your mind. No, you don't have to be Michael, and you don't have to double up. Nobody can change their mind. That's it. You cannot change your mind. Only the value of that pledge. That's it. And nobody has to pay anybody anything. Nobody's moichel anything, and nobody pays double because machzor nakanya. But whatever the value of that pledge is, that's what you have to say. So it's clear. Say machlekes. That's clear. When do we say that what? That you're kind of only connected the mashkin? He says clearly those words. That my mashkin should be kind of whatever the part of this transaction. No, I'm not giving you. I didn't give it to you as a down payment. I'm saying that this is a kinyan. This is the kinyan. So then, no, if he says that I want that I should coin the whole thing, it's not. Let's say he sold him, let's say $1,000 house or $1,000 field. And he gave a down payment of $500. Is kana. Definitely that you are kind of only kind of against whatever that thing is, and the machzel is a shay. You have to give it back. Yeah, because the down. Yeah, no. So he said if you gave a down payment, you're kind of the whole thing, and I owe you money. Even after the I owe you the money. In other words, if I gave you a down payment, what kind of down payment? I'm saying I'm taking the whole lot, and here's the tchilas paroin. Here's the beginning of the purpose. So therefore, I'm kind of the entire field. And the rest halva. And even if it took me a few years to pay, I'm still kind of the whole thing. The machlek is before whether it's only a keneged the pledge or not is where I said that this pledge is the kinyan. It's not a down payment. This is a guarantee. This is the kinyan that we're going ahead with this transaction. I'm putting it down as going ahead. So then the machlek is it's only equal to the value of the pledge or more. But if I'm giving you as a down payment, no, I'm saying I'm okay. I agree $1,000 and here's the first 500. So then exactly then you kind of the whole thing. My laugh, so just like Shimon says that as soon as you gave down payment, you kind of the whole thing. So the same thing applies to metalton. The same applies to metalton. And what? I mean, the kani lukula. The same thing. That you kind of the whole thing. But no. Metalton b'stamel like kana. The difference between metalton and karka. By karka, you give a down payment, you're kind of the entire property. But when it comes to metalton, you only kind of against the pledge, and not even though it's a down payment. Why should it be different? So the answer. Karka, when it comes to karka, the kinyan of karka is the chazaka. You're kinyan with money. So this is the kinyan directly. So if I'm giving you the beginning of the kinyan, I'm giving you some of the money, I'm kinyan the whole lot. So therefore you are kinyan the entire lot. However, by metalton, if I give you money, it's not a kinyan. It's only what I have to keep my word.
You're giving a commitment to the deal.
Exactly. So it's not really directly related to the metalton. If I give you $500 worth out of 1,000, that's all I get mishapara. Like you're not kinyan the whole thing, and therefore maybe you can change your mind on the balance. This is what I'm kinyan. So in fact, it's the very same idea. And if somebody, let's say Reuben lends money to Shimon based on a mashkin, now comes Shemitah, it cancels all the loans. But if there's a mashkin, then the mashkin is if he paid me, so therefore the loan is not meshamet. Shemitah is not meshamet. Now she gave me a mashkin. The question is, if the mashkin is not worth the full value of the loan, how much does the entire loan, the part of the loan that's not covered by the mashkin get cancelled or not? So what happened was you lent money on a mashkin, and Shmita came in. Even though let's say the mashkin is only worth half, ain't a mishamet. It does not cancel all, even if shimming a mil. Rabbi Yehuda says, "Im hoya mashkin keneged halavasi." If the mashkin exactly, then ain't mishamet. But in lav mishamet. But if lav, it is canceling at least also about the mashkin. My aim is now we'll explain now. Oh, we're going to explain right now. So we have very cryptic words here. It's not clear. It's nebulous. What exactly is Shimon? The Shimon says it's not mishamet. Okay, and what's not mishamed? Even he said, if it's worth half, it's not mishamed. Is he saying it's not mishamed the entire loan, or it's not mishamed the part equal to the loan? And Rabbi Yehuda says that if the mashkin is equal to the loan, fine. But if it's not, then but if not, then it is mishamed. The entire loan, or just the part above the? It's not clear what's going on here. So I want to try to analyze it. My ain mishamed come to what does it mean? Elema kenegdoi. Is he saying about that? Shimon is saying that when we say that if let's say it's $1,000 loan, you have $500 mashkin only to the value of the $500 on mishamed. So what Abiyah Nos is saying, because Abiyah Nos is so mishamed, that even the $500 gets cancelled. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense because he has something there. I gave you a mashkin for something. Ella mashkin and not lamale. So why give you a mashkin if it doesn't give me any guarantee? It comes to Shemitah to cancel the loan. What was the point of giving me a mashkin? What must mean like this? My aina mishamed de kar, but Shimon the loan's $1,000. I gave you a masking for 500. When Shimon says it's not mishamed, what do you mean? Aina mishamed kule. Nothing gets cancelled. The entire loan now stands. You still owe me $1,000, even though the pledge, whatever is the masking, is only worth $500.
Is a symbolic.
Exactly. So this is different. Yeah. So I'm not approaching you, so you guys, but here because it's masking, so it capsulates the entire loan. Now Rabbi Yehuda Nasi says, no, I say that if the mashkin is only half, it's mishamet. Mishamet, the part above. When he says that it's mishamet, it means the part that's not covered by the mashkin, but the part of the mashkin, he's moide. And this is the machlekes. Shimon will say that the mashkin $500 gives you the entire loan. That connect only equal to the thing. Going back to the kinyan said before, I give you down payment. It only cover the by betalk. It only covers the $500 I gave you, or it covers the entire transaction that we're going to get. This is the machlekes. My aina mishamed the common of Shimon Gamliel. When Shimon says that doesn't get cancelled, lahach palged the noked mashkin. No, I go back to the way you want to learn. Shimon says only the part that it covers. So our problem was Abiyah Nasi. So what Abiyah Nasi then hold about that the entire loan has to be is cancelled because the mashkin didn't cover the entire loan. So what was the point of the mashkin? So Abiyah has to argue holds the entire loan cancelled. No, the mashkin noked amali. What's the point of the mashkin? So he said, you know the point of mashkin is to remember that you owe me money, and hopefully, I'll pay. You'll pay me before.
You could have written a receipt for the same.
Okay, true, but this remind you owe me the money. Hope you pay me before Shemitah comes in. Okay, we'll stop over here. Team tomorrow, Mitzvah. Everybody, you guys have strong cases.
Is tomorrow 7 or 5 to 7?
Tomorrow's 5 to no. Tomorrow is 7. Tomorrow's Monday, and Tuesday is 5 to 7 o'clock.
Okay, and can I just a thought with all the fact that maybe you're allowed to tell untruth? That's why we've got so much concentration in the Gemara on the Shavuos and oaths and what they mean, because if people are so often not telling the truth, they've got to be taking oaths all the time.
We're going to learn about telling the truth tomorrow's Gemara.
Oh, telling the truth.
Oh. Can we trust it?
Can we trust the Gemara? There's a city that nobody ever said a lie. Gemara tells us, and Rava decided, and everybody lived there for a very long time. So Rava decided to live in that city because everybody lived a long life. And once his Erev Shabbos and his wife was in the shower, and a neighbor came or whatever to talk to her, and he said that my wife is not home because it's me, whatever he didn't want to say. And then suddenly that week, a young child passed away. So they called in Rava. And they said, you're the only new stranger in town here. What happened? And he told them that he lied. And we learned in Gemara about here, Bava Metzia and Yavamas, that certain cases he's allowed to lie. Nevertheless, that they threw out Rava from the town and said, we only allow honest people. Even in cases where you're allowed to lie, you shouldn't.